Alright guys, so today I want to take a look at a simple item that I bought off Amazon. It was $9.99 and it is used to slice grapes, strawberries, cherry tomatoes, anything that may fit in between these openings. And it's somewhat unique in the way you can do it. You can either slice them in half or also slice them in quarters. So let's take a look at this. There you see the size, 5.2 inch by 5.2 inch. And it'll hold 16 items, and it'll cut again in half, which will give you 32, or if you cut them again in half, quarters, it gives you 64 pieces, which would be ideal if you're doing a salad. The width in between is stated to be 1.2 by 1.2 squares. And as you can see, they've got slots on all four sides. So if you went one way, this would give you cutting them in half, turn it 90 degrees, cut it again. Now you're going to have whatever's in there in quarters. And this is a nice rigid piece. I'm not sure what it's made out of, but I'm trying to twist it here. It does not twist. Being plastic, it'd be safe for your cutting blades, whatever knife you're going to use. And here we see the bottom. So now we're going to give this a test. The interesting thing is, how is this going to work with items that are smaller, these olives that are in there? Is it going to work good? Now these cherry tomatoes that I bought, you can see that they pretty much fill the void, so they're not going to move around. These are going to move. So I'm not quite sure whether it'll work with olives. I don't have any strawberries or anything else at the moment to put in there. So we're going to try it though. I'm going to assume that it's got to fit pretty close within that so that it doesn't move around. And but we shall see. So let's try it. The biggest thing is keeping the blade, there you go, just keeping it so it's not tilted one way or another, because you want it to be able to go through the slots. Alright, now I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. We're going to do it now. Here's where the problem's going to be. The items that are big and that don't move, they're getting cut into quarters. Now you'll see that the olives move around. So unless we move them, they're not going to get cut in quarters. So let's get a closer look. You'll see that the olives didn't fare out so well. Cutting them in half was okay, but cutting them into quarters didn't work. Or the tomatoes did. So just as I thought, you have to have something that's going to stay within the parameters of those squares. But let's empty this out and see how well it worked. So from the looks of it, keeping the knife, again, first time I used it here, so keeping the knife square with the unit, meaning not tipping it. Of course, I was behind the camera here, working behind the camera. It's always harder to do things, but just you want to make sure that the blade is square, well, 90 degrees to the unit, So when you bring it across, you're not tipped or tilted one way or another. So let's empty these out. So by taking a look here, you can see that the tomatoes actually did very well and was able to cut into small pieces for salads. And then also thinking about it, the olives being so small, you really wouldn't have to cut them in quarters. So actually this did do a nice job. That's actually a good size for a salad. You wouldn't want them any smaller. So actually I'll take back what I said earlier. It works with something smaller. You'll be able to cut it in half, and if you've got something bigger, and again, for salads and stuff, I think it's excellent. And this unit, all you got to do is run it under water to wash it out. Win-win. I did do a quick rinse underwater, wiped it off. Just for the sake of this video, later when I do dishes, I will put it in with dishwater soap and just rinse it off and let it dry. It'd be kind of hard to do all these, probably just shake it and just let it dry for the inside, but it's very simple. And as per Amazon's website, it does say food grade material, made of food grade PP material, won't rust like other container tools with metal, easy to clean, simply rinse with water after use, dishwasher safe. Well, the dishwasher at my house is myself. Please rinse the mold with water in time after cutting the grapes, otherwise the juice will be left in the mold to affect the next use, which makes sense. So, and I don't know if this thing would stain, but obviously you would rinse it to begin with, just like I did, to get any residue off. So in closing, I'm going to say you can't beat it for the price. It works great. I give it 5 thumbs up.